Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Out of the Park Baseball 27 here with the Colorado Rockies. We're not going to actually play a game here. We're going to continue to play a lot off camera. Might even start simulating a little bit, but we have played 18 games now. We're 7-11, 389 win percentage, 5 games back in fifth. Finally, having beaten the Colorado Rockies, Houston Astros 8-1 to snap. I believe it was an 8-game losing streak that we had been on. Got swept by the Astros, swept by the Padres, a loss to the Astros. To be fair, 3 of those losses had been in extra innings by 1 run. So, and of the 10 of the 11 that we had lost previously, 4 of them were by 1 run. So, 7-11. We have made a lineup change. We have not yet made any pitching changes, but we may get to that at some point. We do want to try to give somebody like Freeland or Lorenzen and Quintana, a little bit longer to start, so we could tell teams who might be a contention as we get to like May and maybe even June, hey, we do have 3 veterans. Yes, they're going to cost somebody, but they might be worth something. The big change that we have, 2 changes we have made. We brought up Adele Abador to play second base. Primarily, and also like a 4th/5th infielder, or just a 4th/5th infielder, I should say, because you need 4. He's off to a decent start, 364, 1 home run, 3 RBIs. Bryant Betancourt, despite the fact that he just doesn't look like much at the plate, right, continues to be off to a pretty decent start. 10 hits and 28 at bats, 32 total plate appearances, 4 walks, 7 strikeouts, on base percentage of 438, average of 357. Brenton Doyle is kind of our best hitter that we have still healthy who's producing. 258 average, 2 home runs, 13 RBIs. Willie Castro, 261, 3 home runs, 9 RBIs. Ezekiel Tovar, 229 average, who has really been slumping, although he got a couple of hits in the 8-1 victory over the Astros, so he might be coming out of it a little bit. 3 home runs, 15 RBIs. Tied for the team lead in home runs, leads us in RBIs. TJ Ruefield has struggled since coming back from paternity leave, down to 245, 1 home run, 8 RBIs. Blade Krim is off to another great start. 5'10", 200-pound first baseman, can't play anywhere else, so I guess he can't play right field really terribly. But he is hitting 333, 16 for 48, and 4 walks, 9 strikeouts. On the flip side, Mickey Moniak has just cratered. He has just absolutely cratered. He is now 14 for 72, 14 strikeouts. He's 3 for 6 in stolen bases. However, if you look at his stats and his game long, he is ice cold. Right? He's 0 for his last 19, 22. He's 1 for his last 27, 2 for his last 32, 4 for his last 38, and 4 for his last 42. He's 5 for his last 49. Actually, 53. He's 5 for his last 53. So he's going 1 for 11 right now. And with Jordan Beck still on the IL for a long time, Hunter Goodman we put on for the IL for a long time, because I thought about it, I was just like, you know what? Not that it's going to prevent them from being hurt again. Let's rest them, try to make sure they're healthy, especially Goodman, because he is probably a piece of the future. Beck might be as well. And I do think in the future, I don't think the lineup's that far away. Right? If Tovar at least doesn't regress too much, along with Doyle and Castro, right? Then you add in Moniak if he's able to rebound. But then you added Beck and Goodman. That's 5 to 6 guys who are pretty decent. Amador could be okay, especially off the bench. Or if Castro's played third base all the time that he's starting. We do have a couple of youngsters down at AAA and below. We think are going to be pretty good first basemen, especially at AA. Right? So, but Ruefield and Cribb could do a reasonably good job there in right. We have Moniak, then we have McCarthy at left. So left field we probably would need to upgrade, but maybe Beck plays there consistently, and then we just need to address the depth. The pitching staff is where we're focusing most of our interest on. because we really want to reshape this. Dolander, I think, is going to stay. The rest, I'm going to try to move on after this year in terms of a starter. Our bullpen has continued to pitch reasonably well. You can see Herget 1.42 ERA, Vodnik 2.08, Paulquist, Bernardino, two lefties are giving us pretty solid stuff. We did play around a lot with the development aspects of some of our players. Somebody like Castellanos here from, is it Emerson? 2 stars, could be 2.5 stars. He's neutral. He's a starter. Stamina is not great. We are trying to get his stuff. Fastball, curveball, changeup. Control could get a little bit better. Home runs allowed could get a little bit better, we think. And so that's why when we went here to our developmental focus, we are focusing again most at the movement, the control, the stamina. Trying to see if we can maybe get him to develop a little bit as a 24-year-old right-handed pitcher. Gabriel Hughes, similarly, we're trying to increase his, pitch repertoire and his stuff. Power pitcher, neutral, 24 years old, another power right-hander. Again, not great, but I think is going to come up at some point. Jaden Hill might come up at some point into our bullpen. Wellington Herrera definitely will. He's another lefty that would give us a third left-handed reliever. Seth Halverson might come up a little bit. I'm not positive about that one so much. You can see Braxton Fulford just, while his stats were not as bad necessarily as Moniak's cold slip, overall he was 1 for 25 with 10 Ks. That is just awful. Charlie Condon is a player we are trying to develop. We think big-time power, eye could get better, elite defensively, and at the plate he could also really, really develop. It's probably going to strike out a reasonable amount, but BIP pretty good. Again, gap power pretty good. Power overall would be above average to maybe just under really, really good, and the eye could be improving. So right now he's sitting 327 through 52 plate appearances and 49 at bats in Double-A ball. So I don't want to rush him up, but he is definitely on my radar. Troy Johnson in the outfield really just is a lefty, really just like kind of a contact hitter, but that's not a bad thing, right? That's not a bad thing. Hit 277 with the Marlins in 2025, hitting 429 right now at AAA. So there's a chance, especially if somebody like Moniak or McCarthy continues to struggle, he will come up. I don't know, like Cole Messina, we said, hey, focus a lot on defensively. As a backup catcher, Vimal Machine, again, another player heavy on the contact, can play a bunch of positions, so he would actually have a little bit of value bringing him up. As Nicky Lopez is really good at like second and short, but can't play anywhere else. And then that leads us into the position of potentially getting rid of Julian because he's really not that versatile. Juan Mejia is another young pitcher who probably will make it into the bullpen at some point this year. Fastball, slider are good. Stop's not bad. Try to get a little bit more movement and control for him as well. So we do have a few young pitchers that we're going to try out. So again, theoretically, next year or end of this year, I could see Dolander, Hughes, and then Aberson, Castellano, right down here. Unless we are able to trade and get a really nice prospect to come in. In terms of the scouting task, right, we have a lot of players we are scouting. And you can see a lot of starting pitching. Now, you could say, hey, you might be able to sign somebody in free agency. Sure. But I think right now what I'm hoping to do is draft pitching and then use free agency, whatever money we have available, because we're not expected to have a lot, to kind of bolster the lineup and maybe get a improved bullpen arm or two. So starting pitching, I am really trying to focus on through scouting and then potentially acquiring pieces. and moving on. So again, Quintana's contract's expiring, 2-1, 3.68 ERA. He did get the victory. His 150th of his career. Lorenzen went 4 innings against the Astros, walked, I think it was 6, and got pulled after 111 pitches. Freely got lit up. And then we get Dollander and Feltner. None of it's great. Like, none of it is great. Okay, batting average, we're 12th of the NL right now. On base, we're 14th. Slugging, we're 10th. We're 8th of the AL in hits, 5th in extra base hits, 7th in home runs, 13th in base hit balls, 12th in strikeouts, right? Not a great ratio there. Tied for 8th in stolen bases. Our ERA is 14th, but our starters ERA is 13th. Our bullpen ERA is 12th. 15th in home runs allowed, 15th in strikeouts, 14th in walks. We are first in errors, though. We are just 3-10 in April. We went 4-1 in March. Overall, we're 7-8 against righties, 0-3 against lefties, 1-5 in one-run games, 6-6 on the road, 1-5 at home. The Pythagorean record says we should be 9-9 instead of 7-11. And in our last 10 games, we were just 2-8. And if we went into the front office, right now our budget's 174 billion, 113 billion payroll. It's 6.3 billion available. So again, just not a lot of money available. 11.8 billion for extension. So that'll help a little bit. Right now, year to date, gate revenue 2.6 billion, local media 32.5 billion, 55 million from the national media. 1.1 million for merchandising. Projected, we're supposed to lose about 25 million from the year before, but then again, we did lower ticket prices. But that's mostly for merchandising, 26.5 billion as opposed to 27 billion, so down by about a million. And then local media. Okay, so that essentially is because it has not changed, right? 32.5 billion compared to 70 billion the year before. Playoff revenue, we're not going to make any of that. And again, so the salaries we're going to be Bryant, we're not going to be able to move on. I have unless he has a decent season when he comes back and then some miracle, we're going to have to eat a lot of this contract. But even if we could get out of 7 million, right, that would help us. Really, Freeland, we're hoping to move on. Senzatelo, we're probably not going to be able to move on, but his contract at least is expiring. Team option for 14 million. We're not going to pick that up. Lorenzen, we might be able to move. Castro, I don't think I want to move. He's 28 years old. He's played pretty well. Quintana, his contract's expiring. Feltner, if he ended up pitching well, he has a movable contract. So with Fulford going down, we did move up Jose Cordova. Decent in terms of contact and avoiding Ks at BIP. No power, really. Not much on the base pass, but that's all right. Decent at blocking and arm. Framing, not as great. And really, he's just here to try to back up Betancourt, right? So against lefties, he might get a start. Betancourt will play a little bit against lefties. He's not completely awful against lefties. Right, 40 contact, right, avoid case, still 45. Just not nearly as good as he is against righties. Man, Freeland had been pitching reasonably well, but then we tried to get an extra inning out of him in his last start, and that really kind of ruined him, right? Actually, these last two starts have just been bad. Went 5 innings against Houston. He gave 7 earned runs. And then went 5 innings against the Padres. He gave up 6 earned runs. He has given up 6 home runs in his last 2 starts. So this was the game, I think, where we probably should have taken him out after 5. Try to get him through 6 to get a quality start. Couldn't do it. And then San Diego kind of continued. So hopefully he'll be able to bounce back. Not sure, of course. And then if nothing else, if Lorenzen and Quintana continue to pitch okay, we can live with that. I am curious. I do want to see in terms of team statistics, pitching stats for us. Hergert and Bernardino have each appeared at 5 games. Vodnik has appeared at 6, just thrown 4 1/3 innings, but has appeared at 6. Quintana has appeared at 4. Palmquist at 7, so 7 of 18, so a little bit more than 1 in 3. Brebbia at 5, Lorenzen at 4, of course. Sugano's at 8. Senzatella is just at 6, but he has thrown 11 pitches, so almost 2 innings per appearance. Feltner in 3 so far. Freeland in 4 for 21 innings. Dolander only in 3, and then Kike Thompson with a 7.27 ERA has appeared at 6. In terms of our batting stats, and Moniak and Tovar have appeared at 17 of 18. Castro and Doyle have appeared in all 18. McCarthy's appeared at 16. Karros at 16. Roomfield at 14. Krim in 12. Goodman in 9. Julian in 9. Bettencourt's have good appeared as 9th here. Freeman in 9. Fulford appeared at 10. Lopez at 6. Amador in 3. And Beck in just 2. All right, pitching wise, again, Quintana, you can see here. Strikeouts, Lorenzen, then Freeland, then Quintana, 18, 17, 14. I mean, that's just really kind of terrible. Quintana in 4 starts has 22 innings pitched, 0.4 WAR, 23 hits, 6 walks, 14 strikeouts. Dolander Feltner leads us at balls at play average. Dolander winning percentage. Freeland home runs against. Dolander also has allowed 5, so that'll probably change. Lorenzen has walked 13. Dolander has walked 9. Fielding, Rumfield has 91 chances, but again, he plays first base. Doyle, Freeman, Fulford, McCarthy, Roomfield all have perfect fielding percentages. Tovar and Castro each are at 985 and 983. Tovar has 47 assists. Karros with 33. Castro with 32. Pass balls, our catchers, of course, would have that. Runners thrown out, 60.7 for Braxton Fulford. Fulford's earned run average as a catcher was 5.01. Tovar has played 145 innings. Castro 144. Moniak 137. Doyle 134. McCarthy 131. And Karros 119. Nobody has more than 1 error as of right now. Castro, Karros, Lopez, Moniak, and Tovar all committed 1. So again, fielding were really good. Pitching and offensively we're struggling a little bit, but Beck and Goodman are out right now for the Rockies, so to some degree that's to be expected. So we're going to finish up the rubber match against the Stros. Probably won't do much on camera against the Dodgers because I don't want to get too bad and have y'all hear that because that is going to be ugly. Who do we have at home after the Dodgers? Is it the Padres? Yep. All right, so we might come back for one of the Padres games here at home. So what, 1, that's 5. 23, so wait, 6, so maybe like the 22nd. So a week from yesterday, here are the game. Because this will be our 25th game. And be a quarter of the way to 100, right? So we'll come back for that, see where we're at. right, so this is going to be Dolander, Feltner, Freeland, Lorenzen, Quintana, Dolander, Feltner will be starting as of right now, right here. Thank you, everybody. That is where we're going to stop for today. Like I said, today was not about playing a game on camera. It was just about giving an update, right? We are in last place. We are 7-11. Have a chance to take the series. I don't think we're going to beat Hunter Brown and Chase Dolander, but you never know, right? That is one of the things I do love about baseball is it's kind of unpredictable. But it was nice to get that victory yesterday and the 8-game losing streak. And, you know, at least give the lads who won 43 games last year, right? And that is something we will look at, even though we're not doing great. We're not doing great, don't get me wrong. 389, let's say we just maintain this, be our best winning percentage since 2022. Now, he wants us to finish around 500. So that is probably not something that's going to happen very easily. Ethan Holiday, we do want to take a look at. 19 years old, lefty, right? I mean, if he pans out along with Condon, right, we have like our 3-4 or 4-5, whatever you want to say. $30 out of 40. I do think we're going to try to avoid Ks. So we are going to set his development a little bit. Right, just to try to give him, you know, so he's not a high strikeout guy. But all right, everybody, that's where we're going to wrap up the episode. Thank you for watching. As always, if you wish to leave a like, comment, or subscribe, it's awesome. Otherwise, take care, stay safe, and I will talk to you all later.